Time for a big sign on my computer that says, turn on your soundboard. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. 20 years, a former minister, Bible college graduate, 100,000 hours of study in the biblical scriptures. And now that I have your attention, I'm here to show you evidence that I think makes it undeniable that Christianity is a fear and guilt control matrix and that you're suffering from acute spiritual Stockholm syndrome. In fact, you will fight on behalf of your captors against those that seek to set you free. Today, we're talking about SHAPESHIFTERS. And in an awkward segue, let me just say that if you want to shift the shape of your life, then go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the Mistech logo, learn about the Mistech bands that are making a difference in my life and every single person that buys them. It's amazing to me that probably 90% of people that purchase are purchasing again, including Sandro D'Angelo, who just happened to show up in the chat room. If you find something you like, make sure you hit this button and make sure that you are seeing this right here. Mistech Bands by Jeffrey Daugherty, because that guarantees you're getting 20% off, and that guarantees that you're helping your friendly neighborhood Christian whistleblower. If you don't see this, then you're not getting 20% off, and you're not helping me help you. So please do that. And let's talk, ladies and gentlemen, about shapeshifters. Shapeshifters, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about them. It's very powerful. It's very interesting. Shapeshifters are also called metamorphs in mythology and in folklore and in speculative fiction. A shapeshifter, ladies and gentlemen, is a being that has the ability to completely transform its physical form or its shape or to change its appearance. And it's usually an inherent ability. It's something that is within their abilities as a being. It's the oldest forms of totemism and shamanism. And listen to this, folks. This is why, again, when things are cross-cultural, when they come up in different cultures, and especially when they're ubiquitous, like shape-shifting, they really get my attention. And I'm going to show you some shape-shifting in the Bible, which will blow your mind. Shapeshifters go all the way back to the Epic of Gilgamesh, all the way back to the Sumerian Epic of Gilgamesh. Also, in Iliad and the Odyssey, the idea persisted through the Middle Ages, and it remains a common modern fantasy in children's literature and even in popular culture. Have you ever thought about the frog turning into a prince? That's a metamorph. That is a shape shifter. And usually it's a human turning into an animal, sometimes an animal turning into a human. Some legends allow for the transformation into plants and objects. There was an old Russian story called The Frog Princess, where a frog turned into a princess. The giant Galligantua and the wicked old magician transformed the Duke's daughter into a white deer. That's in a story by Arthur Rackman. Logi feigns fear as Alberic turns into a giant snake. Wotan stands in the background. That's in Richard Wagner's Das Rheingold. I show you on the show page here an ancient German woodcutting of a man turning into a wolf. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Werewolves are also shapeshifters or metamorphs. And it's interesting that there's people standing by right here. And I don't think I'm showing this to you, so let me do so. Let me share this with you. Here's an ancient, I guess we are showing. Shapeshifters, man turning into a wolf in front of an audience, which to me is rather interesting that there would be an audience there. So it's throughout many different cultures. It's all over the world, and that makes it very, very interesting to me. And it is across time and space as well. Other shape-shifting creatures in folklore: werewolves, vampires. Native Americans have shape-shifting stories. The Huli Jing of East Asia, the Japanese Kitsune, the Korean Kumiho, gods and goddesses, Loki, Proteus of the Greeks, the shape-shifting of the wolf, lycanthropy, therianthropy, human-animal shifts, deities transforming animals and plants. The Navajo called them skinwalkers. In Greco-Roman times, in Odysseus' Metamorphoses in Homer's Odyssey, you have people turning a donkey, a man becoming a donkey. And do you remember in the Bible where the donkey spoke, Balaam's ass spoke? That, of course, too, is shape-shifting. Zeus, Athena, shape-shifting. Zeus transformed a king into a wolf. Remember in the Bible where King Nebuchadnezzar became a wolf? Demeter transformed Escapulus into a lizard. Wow. Athena transformed Arachne into a spider, thus arachnids. Artemis turned Actaeon into a stag. Galanthus was transformed into a weasel or a cat. Atalanta and Hippomenes were turned into lions. Io was a priestess of Hera, raped by Zeus, changed her into a heifer. Wow. Hera's punished Tiresias by turning him into a woman, and then 7 years later, back into a man. Danae as a shower of gold, Europa as a bull, Leda as a swan, Ganymede as an eagle, Alcmene into her husband, Hera as a cuckoo, Leto as a quail, Maya as a gopher, Io as a cloud. Nemesis chose to escape Zeus's advances, got turned into a swan. So shapeshifters, ladies and gentlemen, are everywhere across cultures and across times. Vertimus turning into an old woman. The children of Lear transforming into swans in Irish tales. Apollo pursuing an unwilling Daphne who turns into a laurel tree. It's amazing. Fairies, witches, wizards, all noted for their shape-shifting abilities. Celtic mythology, math, Gwydion, Gylfathi. Scottish mythology, shapeshifters. Norse mythology, shapeshifters. Poland mythology, shapeshifters. Armenian, Indian, Philippine, Tatar, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Somali, Trinidad, Argentina, Chile. Folks, shape-shifting is ubiquitous throughout human culture. It's ubiquitous throughout human storytelling. It's ubiquitous throughout humanity, period. The question is, why? Why is shape-shifting such a part of our collective psyche? Why is shape-shifting such a part of our collective unconsciousness and even our collective consciousness? We write stories about it. We write songs about it. We imagine it. We think about it. Why? What if I told you that I believe every one of us is a shapeshifter? What if I tell you that I believe that we are born with the inherent ability to shapeshift, but we've just forgotten it? Jeff, how in the world can you say that? Well, if you'll remember in the book of Genesis, the Elohim used to come down and talk to men and women in the cool of the day. Now, we all know that the Elohim don't have bodies. Sandra D says maybe it's to remind us that we are. You know that men and women, you know that the Elohim don't have bodies. They don't have physical bodies. They're spiritual creatures. Some say even cats shapeshift, or people shapeshift into cats. What do you think, Rooney? But we know that the Elohim shapeshifted to come down into bodies so they could talk to people. We know that we are formed in the image of the Elohim after their likeness, and that we have their same abilities. We know that the majestic serpents had the ability to shapeshift, and reptilians today still have the ability to shapeshift. We know that on at least 4 occasions, the Christ shapeshifted when they were about to kill him. And he shapeshifted and moved away and just went on his own way and didn't allow the people to take him. Also, when he rose, well, even Jesus, fake plastic Jesus, there's stories of him shapeshifting. When he supposedly rose from the grave, when he really wasn't crucified and really didn't die, even Mary Magdalene didn't recognize him. When he supposedly was walking around after his fake resurrection, people talked with him, didn't recognize him. What's the point? The point is that even false religion contains stories about shapeshifters. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm convinced that as offspring of the Elohim, I'm convinced that as, if you will, Elohim in training, we are shapeshifters. We have the ability to shapeshift. We have the capability to shapeshift. It's part of our inherent beingness as offspring of the Elohim. So why would we want to shapeshift? Think about it. I'm sure you can ponder some times where you'd like to shapeshift. And perhaps as times draw closer to the wrap-up of time, perhaps we will need to call again on our shapeshifting abilities as we fall under possible persecutions. I'm just speculating. And isn't really death the ultimate shapeshifting? We shift from this failed, flawed, dying form into our ultimate spiritual and eternal form. What would happen if we remembered how to shapeshift? What would happen if you remembered how to shapeshift? I challenge you. People are asking you, can you teach me? How do I do it? The secret is within you. The power is within you. And I can suggest that your first step is relaxation. Your next step would be meditation. Your next step would be astral projection. And I tend to believe that once you're out of your body, you can either manifest in another form, or you can morph your physical body from a spiritual perspective. I think we can do it. And in fact, I've been told that I do it on a semi-regular basis, only I don't know when I'm doing it. Not that I shapeshift into a reptilian, not that. Just that I look different from time to time. That's shapeshifting. And something tells me in my blink, I don't know how, I don't know why, but something tells me within my blink that we should learn to recapture our ability to shapeshift. Because the Christ said, listen, they're going to do you like they did me. They tried to kill that brother. They tried to stone that brother. They tried to throw that brother off a cliff. They tried to tear that brother limb from limb, and it says he just passed through them. So he obviously shapeshifted, or he teleported, one or the other. There may come a time where they want to stone this brother. There may come a time when they want to throw this brother off a cliff. In fact, that time might be here right now. So it might well behoove me, other than having a black belt, to be able to leverage and use my time-honored ability to shapeshift. Might be time for me to remember how. Might be time for you to remember how. I have astral projected, doing it on a regular basis, and believe it or not, there's a certain rotund cat that often follows me into the astral realm. So, ladies and gentlemen, and he's shapeshifted, by the way, when he gets there. If he can do it, you can do it. And it's time for us to start leveraging our abilities. And why do you think there's so much, I don't know if I would call it distortion. I don't know if I would call it disinformation, but how come there's so much, he could be a spiritual God. I never thought about that. How come there's so much disinformation about shape-shifting? Is it because they're trying to keep us confused about the subject? Because, it might be a key to our ultimate and eternal victory. We were all born shapeshifters. If we go back far enough, if we go down deep enough, we can re-access our ancient abilities. Why do you think I'm after you to become a diviner? Why do you think I'm after you to leverage some type of a, that's what shape-shifting is, walking through walls, to leverage some type of a divination practice. That's why I talk about rods and pendulums and runes, and not Rooney Tunes, but runes and cards and all kinds of things like that, because we want to be able, at our very core, we flash in and out of reality, as Sandra says, and she's absolutely right. We literally shape-shifted from sperm and egg. That's very interesting. Were we all originally born with the ability to shape-shift? The rods say yes. Do we still have the ability to shape-shift? The rods say yes. Can we remember the ability to shape-shift? The rods say yes. Will we learn to shapeshift again? The rods say yes. Should we be afraid of the ability to shapeshift? The rods say no. Should we teach a class on, look at, they always want to say yes. Should we teach a class on shapeshifting? Is shapeshifting far more than a parlor trick? You know, if you watch the Are We Already Shapeshifting? Not so much. If you watch the video that I did from Casadega when we were talking about when we were on the orb tour, and Dawn, the tour guide, was talking about the person that was teaching one of their church services, and he would shapeshift when he was, I guess channeling is the right word, and he was acting as a medium. Very, very interesting. PJ says that in their dreams, they often change forms to different humans and animals. I believe you're on to something here. Not sure how much time we have to figure this out. Good point. So I think we better start figuring. We better start learning. We better start applying ourselves. We better start doing everything we can to get ourselves in a position to be able to get ourselves in a position to get ourselves in the position that we can get back to learning how to shape shift, ladies and gentlemen. I keep holding up my hands because I got the Sophigio for our crown chakra here, and it helps me astral project a lot better. What can you shapeshift to? What do you want to shapeshift to? Growing from a baby to an adult is a shapeshifting of a sort, I would definitely say. Once again, a great shout out to Heidi Vandenberg. I love that girl. She's a true friend. She had my back in a situation yesterday, and I just want to give her a great appreciation. Visit Channel 27. Make sure you subscribe. Visit Rex Barrett Leak Project. Visit R. Wayne Steiger. Visit Sandra D. Angelo. Visit Amber Dawn Rising. Visit, who am I forgetting? Dan from Overwatch Channel. And on Monday, I'm going to have Ernst Wilhelm of the Cards of Truth back on. And we'll be having some more guests. And I want you to support the people that support your friendly neighborhood Christian whistleblower, and support the people that are helping support you in your transformation. How about shape-shifting in reverse? Can we transfer from shape-shift from looking old to looking young? I don't see why not. I don't see why not. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Shape-shifting, ubiquitous across cultures. Disinformation about shape-shifting, ubiquitous across cultures. Why? Because I think they're trying to distract us from reaching back and acquiring an ability that we've always had and we've forgotten and we need to leverage again. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Guide your own spirit, master your own ascension. Hey, Amber Dawn. Be your own guru. Shift your own shape. And unindoctrinate yourself.